Hey guys, today we're going to have a look at doing a light mask. Now, light masking is something that I just recently learned. It is not too user-friendly unless you are a Photoshop guru. I know folks like Smarty and such have it down pretty well, but we're going to use two free tools to be able to manipulate images of lights so that you can make your lights look like the image and incorporate the brake and turn signal and the standard parking lights and have them all look pretty slick. Let's get into it. So you're going to see here on the screen that I have DXT BMP. What this program is going to allow you to do is extract and create an alpha level, which is a black and white image essentially, for what you are wanting to make your light mask with. So we're going to open a file, and in this case we're going to go to any file, and here's our lights. Alright, now this is a pretty massive file here, which is great. It's good to have a bigger file than you really need. So if you go up to the alpha section up here at the top of your screen, and if you create alpha template, as you can see over here, it's the alpha channel is all white. So everywhere there's a light, it's white. And what that's going to do is it's not going to bring the texture of the light through in the light itself when you turn it on in game. And we want that texture to come through. We don't want just a plain flat white or red color. We want to bring a little bit of that texture through, which is what this is going to do for us. So we're going to create an alpha template. Now you can see up here, that's what it looks like. It's all gray. Now, what do we do from here? Well, there's a couple of different buttons here on the right-hand side. So when you mouse over, you can't really see because it goes off the screen for some reason, but you're going to send it to editor. In the preferences, you can select your editor. Up here, I've selected paint.net. So here it is in the editor. So when you look at this this particular trailer, it's got a couple of things going for it. Okay, so it's got these lights here that are on the bottom left. Those constitute the brake and or turn signals. Now, if you look at the light mask itself, and if I open a new window, and go to Lightmask Smarty, you're going to find this picture right here in the forum, no less. Now, when you look at this, we're at the back of the trailer, say. So the red is for the blinker, green is for brake, B is for reverse. Now, in the States, it's very unusual to have a trailer with a reverse light on it, unless it's been added after post-purchase, if you want to say so. And then your positional is the alpha. Now, how do we go ahead and separate these things? Well, this is where you have to make some decisions about how you want your trailer to look. Now, if you want the blinker, the brake, and the positional light, so the parking lights, if you want them all on the same lights, all across the board, so the back left side, both sides will be blinker and brake, and the right side will be blinker and brake, and you don't want them separated. So like the outside light would be a blinker and the inside light would be a brake, and then on the other side, the inside light would be a brake and the outside light would be the right blinker. If you want them all to have all those things, then you're going to basically take this, leave the alpha in, add blue, or take away blue rather, and add red and green. And that's going to give you your turn signals and your brake lights and your positional lights. So how do we do that? Well, again, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. Now, what I want to do is I want to save this as, I'm going to save it to the folder I'm working in, which is mods, alfab ndump. You can save it as a bitmap. You can save it as a DDS if you want. I just save it as a bitmap. So we're going to say alpha initial. Okay. So now we've got the original alpha saved. Granted, it's not an alpha yet because we haven't put it into DXTBIMP. But for right now, that's what we're going to use as our alpha layer. So here's where we start doing the cool stuff. So we're going to add layer 2. I'm going to call this red. So now when I paint, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to select the R, go all the way up to 255. I'm going to place the square over the top of this. So then I'm going to paint that like that. I'm going to deselect. I'm going to cut out this. And now we have a red image over there. Well, how do you get the texture through, right? I mean, that's just a big block of red. Well, that's kind of fun thing to do. So we can go in here and do an overlay. So what that's going to give us is the red overlaid directly onto the black and white image. So what happens here is there is never going to be another color other than red. Okay, in this is only red. There is nothing else here but red. So when you use the color picker like this, and you go here, and then you add it on to the background like that. When you color pick, you can see on the top up here on the RGB scale, it's only coming up red. There is no other color in here. There is no green, there is no blue. Okay, that's very, very important because you don't want any other color than red, because otherwise it's going to put a blinker where you didn't want it, or a turn signal where you didn't want it, or a whatever. If there was any blue in here, it would show up as a reverse light for some reason all of a sudden, or when you flash your high beams, your rear lights would turn on. So you always want to use that overlay function to make sure that it's only going to give you that red color, okay? But I want to undo that because I need to add red onto this, because this is my blinker. Now, this is the side blinker, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an ellipse, because I don't want the outside to light up. I just want this part to light up. Like this and like that a little bit. I mean, you can get real fancy in here and draw this up like with the lasso tool, but we're gonna leave it like that. So then I'm gonna go back to here and I'm gonna go back to this 255, 255. I'm gonna paste that there. And as you can see, it's also on overlay. So it's still gonna show that through. So now we're gonna have that available to us. It's gonna show up red like that. All of these lights are going to be they're going to be marker lights. This ABS light doesn't really light up in game. ABS doesn't really take effect. There's not that capability in the game. So now we're going to do green. What I do is I hide the red. We don't need green up here because this is not, there's no green on this particular one. The only green is going to be on this because the green is for the brake lights. There's no brake lights over here. None of these things are going to use brakes, only this. So we want to go over here, drag this down, drag that up. So there's your green. We're going to select this again. Make sure that you're on the correct layer over here. Make your box. Fill your box. Deselect. I have to move that up. Delete that. Perfect. All right. And again, we're going to do the overlay. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Properties. Overlay. Green. There we go. All right, so now we have the brake light and also the turn signal, both the side turn signal and the rear. When we turn those both on, there's going to be kind of a funny thing happening here where both the overlays are together, but that's okay. We don't mind about that really. So we're going to save this as, we don't want to save it as an alpha. So we're going to save it as color initial because we've already made the alpha and we want to just incorporate the alpha into what I've created here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to undo that. Going to merge this down. We're going to merge that down. And then we're going to save as a bitmap. Okay. So now we have this. We can open that bitmap, which is going to be color initial here. Excellent. Now you see the alpha channel is all white over here because Paint.net doesn't really do alpha layers. You can make it do certain things, but not enough to make it look how we want it to look. So now we're going to import the alpha channel. And where did we get that from? Well, we got that from here. And here's our alpha initial.bitmap. We're going to open that. Now you can see that the alpha is now incorporated in here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to save it as DDS. We're going to save it as you know, a DXT5 file. Very important to do that. We're going to call this mask initial because we're probably going to have to change a couple of things. In the end, you always have to change something. So let's open Blender. And once we open Blender, we can go into the UV editor. We can open that particular file. Let's move this over here. So this is showing us the color and the alpha. We gotta zoom this out here. There we go. So now if I show red, it's gonna show up here. If I show green, there's no blue, that's black. And there's our alpha. Now you're gonna have to fine tune the alpha. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. Fine-tuning the alpha is very important. The reason why is because in 1.4 they darkened the alphas a lot. So as you notice, some of the stuff that I've been working on, like the retinue and the 359, the private 359 that I'm doing, some of the lights don't really match up exactly correctly because you have to add more of a dark overlay over the alpha to make it more dark, so it turns out more red and less orange, which is how it kind of looks if you don't edit this part to be more dark. So you'd want to go back in here. You want to go back here and you want to open alpha initial, and then you'd want to add a layer, and you would take your black and make it like half opacity and do something like that. So that's going to make it darker. You can even add it as an overlay to make that all darker, everything but the background darker, and then save that as such. And that's going to darken it down and give it more of a red color, which is, they had to make a lot of changes because of the environmental thing, so that's why that does that. But that is the basics of light masking. If you don't want, say you didn't want any of these to show up as an alpha, you would take this, make a box. I don't want this light to have an alpha, right? So, whoops, so I cover that up. Like that. So that's not going to have an alpha in the end product. Just covering it with black. So little things you find out along the way about making light masks. The first time you do it, I think the first time I did it, it took me like 2.5 hours to get everything how I wanted it. And so it will take that long. It's going to be a trial and error thing, but it's basically just creating the overlays over the colors that you want to use. And that's it. So, I'm looking forward to seeing your creations when you create your first light mask and what you can make your lights look like, because having a million flares in this new 1.4 system is not feasible anymore. It really takes a performance hit, especially on some of the older machines. And you can make the lights look just as good with the new things that they've changed for 1.4, with a whole bunch of different things. But making a light mask it's not impossible, but it's pretty difficult. It's gonna take some trial and error, but let me see what you guys create. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you for the next one.